2010. Hindi siguro covered yun, ano? June 2009 kayo, eh, no? No? So, hindi covered. Ha?
Sabihin na po. Ano po yun? Hindi mo practice.
Well, for your additional knowledge na lang. Kasi kung isa sila ulo yung mga examiner. Remember the decision rendered by the Supreme Court in the case of Citibank versus Sigmino. Remember that? In case of the labor arbiter renders a decision of reinstatement, and the employer chose reinstatement in the payroll reinstatement plan, and then subsequently the case is reversed. The employee is supposed to reimburse the amount. Yun ang Genuino. Citibank versus Genuino or Genuino versus Citibank. Kasi both of them went up on petition for review sa Supreme Court. Si Genuino at saka Citibank. So, two cases, Citibank versus Genuino and Genuino versus Citibank. So, that case of where the employee is supposed to reimburse the payment by way of payroll reinstatement if the decision is reversed. It has been changed by the Supreme Court. Wala nang reimbursement in the Garcia Doctrine. Remember, in Garcia versus Court of Appeals, this is no longer just a ruling. Kasi yung sa Genuino is only a ruling of a division penned by Justice Presbitero Velasco. But this Garcia is a decision of the Supreme Court in banc and signed by all of the justices, all 15 of them. So, it's a doctrine already. To be a doctrine, the decision must be rendered, must be concurred in by at least 8 justices. Ito labing 5. So, doctrine ito. Just like a branch school. It's a doctrine. So that, therefore, it cannot be overruled by the decision of a division. So, sinasabi ng Supreme Court, insofar as payment of the reimbursement in payroll reinstatement, there is no, there is a dearth of Supreme Court decision to sustain that particular ruling of the division. So, this will, this runs counter to the constitutional provision on full protection given to labor. Because in that event, the employee will be afraid already to accept the choice of the employer for reinstatement in the payroll only. Payroll reinstatement. And with respect to payment of back wages, in the event that the employer did not immediately, in case of a reinstatement order, did not immediately call for the payment, did not immediately call for the reinstatement of the employee, because the reinstatement by the labor arbiter, for example, there is no need to file a motion for execution on the reinstatement aspect. That is self-executory. The reinstatement order is self-executory, so that therefore, according to the Supreme Court, it is the duty of the employer to reinstate the employee immediately, either by actual or payroll reinstatement. Now, if the employer will not reinstate the employee immediately, the period of time which is encompassed after the employee has been reinstated, then he will have to pay back wages. See? Kung halimbawa, during the nag-appeal ka sa LRC and you have not reinstated that employee for a period of at least 1 month, so you pay back wages for 1 month. However, the Supreme Court in that Garcia doctrine says that the payment of back wages will occur only if the employee was not reinstated with the fault of the employer. So that if the employee was not reinstated without the fault of the employer, then back wages will not be paid. Because in the Garcia case, the company there was Philippine Airlines, was placed on receivership. So he could not anymore reinstate the employee immediately because under receivership siya. And all claims, according to the law, when a company is placed on receivership, are being suspended. You see? So it was without the fault of PAL. That was why PAL, although it did not reinstate the employee immediately, was not directed to pay back wages. Okay? Those are the only 2 items that was covered by the Garcia doctrine. But as I learned from you, dahil ang coverage ninyo is only up to June 2009, no? Hindi covered to. Maaring next year ito itanong. So, kung kukuha ka next year, at least you know na. Maaari naman hindi mo itutuloy yung pagkuha ngayon no? Like one of my students did not take, although naka-register na to take the bar, did not push through with it. For one reason or another, I don't know why. That's why she will be taking the bar only this year. First time lang yun. That yung hindi ka kumuha, although naka-register ka, hindi counted yun sa 5. Because you're only entitled to take 5, Di ba? I'm sure lahat kayo take 1. Kaya naman yan. Lahat yan mag-take 1. If you are going to listen very carefully to all of your reviewers, maski na, kasi some reviewers are boring, monotone, tukin ka talaga. Now, pilitin mong gising ka, makinig ka. Kasi nag-aral yun. And usually nag-aaral na. And yung lahat na sinasabi are what they think will appear in the band. Later I will tell you a story in that regard. Anyway, stripes, picketing, and lockouts muna. What is a strike? Temporary stoppage of work because of a labor dispute. So the employees refuse to work. Yeah. Concerted temporary stoppage of work because of a labor dispute. There are many kinds of strikes. Yeah. You have a wildcat strike. Yeah. Wildcat. The wildcat strike is a strike which is mounted not by the certified bargaining agent. For example, you have here 2 unions, Union A, Union B. In our example, Union A is the bargaining agent. Union A did not go on strike. And not strike ang Union B, which is not a bargaining agent. So, yan ang wildcard strike. Di ba lang? Mounted, it is a strike mounted not by the certified bargaining agent. Alright. And then there is a lightning strike. A lightning strike is a strike that occurs without any notice. Comes like a bolt of lightning. Yeah. Bigla na lang nag-strike. Then you have sympathetic strike. This is a strike which, as its name connotes, it's a strike in sympathy with a strike being conducted by another union. For example, there is a strike in FEU, because union in FEU and the union here in UST belong to the same national federation, then the union here in UST will also stage a strike, although there is no labor dispute in UST. Yeah? You see, that's a sympathetic strike. Is that a legal strike? No, it is not legal. Why? Because a strike is supposed to be conducted only if there is a labor dispute between management and union. In sympathetic strike, there is no labor dispute between the company and the union. In lightning strike, why is this illegal? It is illegal because there is no notice. In wildcat strike, why is this illegal? Because it is not conducted. It was not bounded by the certified bargaining agent. Then you have also a slowdown. Well, a slowdown is to reduce the rate of the production of the company. You try to restrict the output of production. That's a slowdown. Boycott, in boycott, you actually prevent the products of the company from being bought or being patronized by the public. Boycott. You do not. You will actually go on a campaign to prevent the public from buying the produce of the company. Boycott. Do not patronize the product of this company. And then you have only two kinds of strikes are allowed in our country. All other strikes are illegal. These are the economic strikes and the ULP strikes. Economic strikes occur as a consequence of deadlock in collective bargaining. ULP strikes occur actually as a consequence of the violation by the company of any of the provisions of Article 248 of the Labor Code. And then, pagka ang union naman ang nag-commit, maaaring lockout. So, pareho yan. Economic strike, economic lockout. Anti-labor strike, anti-labor lockout. Because the one is a concerted activity on the part of the union. The other lockout is an activity being undertaken by the company by refusing to furnish work to the employees. So, when you refuse to give work to the employees, that's a lockout. Now, there are, although we have only two, we have two valid strikes, which may be economic or ULP in nature. There are certain provisions which, although may occur, cannot be the subject of a valid strike. Like violation of labor standards. Like you have a wage order and you refuse to pay the wage order, the company, that cannot be a basis for a notice of strike by the union. You know? Labor standards cases. Alright. Or intra-union disputes. Intra-union disputes are disputes within the union. In other words, there is a power struggle, for example, within the union. That's an intra-union dispute. Or a dispute between or among unions, between two unions or three or four unions. That's an inter-union dispute. They cannot be the subject of a valid notice of strike. Likewise, issues which have already been submitted to voluntary arbitration or compulsory arbitration cannot be the subject of a valid strike, of a notice of strike. Now, what are the requisites for a valid strike? First, there must be a lawful purpose. Second, there must be lawful means. And thirdly, there must be compliance with the procedural requirements of law. So you have lawful purpose. There are only two purposes. We said lawful strike, lawful purposes. What are they? ULP, economic. So that if your purpose is other than these two, then it is not a lawful purpose. And the strike, even if you comply with procedural requirements, is not a valid strike. For example, your purpose is to enforce payment of 13th month pay. Because the company is not paying 13th month. You comply with the notice requirement, procedural requirements, everything. But your purpose is unlawful. Why? Because this is labor standards. And labor standards cases are not strikeable cases. You see? Now, lawful means. Now, strikes in our country are supposed to be peaceful, orderly, without threats, violence, intimidation, free ingress and egress to, from company premises. Yeah. Do we have such kind of a strike? Yun nga eh. In writing, nakalagay naman yan sa labor code natin. Even if your purpose is lawful, even if you comply with the procedural requirements of law, but the means employed is unlawful, what was probably a lawful strike is converted into an unlawful one because of the means employed. See? No threats, no violence, no intimidation, free ingress and egress to and from company premises. Kailangan gano'n ang strike. But in all my years of practice, I have not yet seen one where all of these means have been followed to the letter. Usually, pag nag-strike, ano nangyayari? Kapit-bisig. Picketing, carrying of placards, which is supposed to inform the general public about the issues involved in the labor dispute. Unfair labor practice. Bad, very bad. Naka-ano yan? Talagang nangyari na sa akin. Kinuna ko ng litrato yan. Yung placard na nakalagay, bad, very bad. Nakatago na sa album ko yan. Anyway, pero wala sa Facebook. Wala akong Facebook. It's a waste of time. To me, I don't know about it, but to me, I don't know how so many people can spend so much time with that. Na, maski na Twitter, wala ako. No time talaga. Masyadong malaking oras ang nasasayang dyan. Tapos, magmumurahan pa kayo sa Twitter. Ay, naloko na. I have a friend who called me, maaari mo ba akong i-defend? Magpapailan daw ako ng libel. O, imagine mo, Twitter lang, nag-libel suit pa sila. So, delikado yan. Now, anyway, nawala na naman ako. No, picketing. The picket is supposed to be a moving picket. Kailangan umiikot-ikot yan. It's a moving picket. So what happens in most of our strike situations, the placards are planted on the ground. At saka nakadikit yung kanila mga tarpaulin. Nakadikit. Sa wall. Kaya nakalagay sa tawag yan, stick, no? Na may mga pako. Hawak-hawak na yan. Hindi ka may makalapit. Dahil baka tamaan ka ng stick na may pako. Supposing nagkaroon ng strike. And you appeared in order to report for work, and you found out your company is on strike. You want to go in because you have a deadline to meet. And you were told, makisama ka naman, huwag kang pumasok. Kung hindi, papaluin ka namin sa ulo. Meron akong deadline kailangan. Pumasok ako. Dahil deadline ito sa Supreme Court bukas. Dahil you're the company lawyer, kailangan pumasok ka. Pinilit mo sarili mo, hinataw ka nga. Nakahiwalay ng ulo at katawan. Hindi naman. Palo lang naman ng gano'n. Siyempre. Question. Now, is the strike already illegal? Dahil hinataw ka? If that act of violence, where you're hit in the head, is a matter of union policy, and violence is widespread and pervasive, then responsibility is collective and the strike becomes illegal. But, if it is merely an isolated act, hinataw ka sa ulo, nag-iisa lang siya, and that was not being carried out as a matter of union policy, it's an isolated act, then that act where you were hit on the head, which is violent, which can be characterized already as violent, will not in any way affect the legality of the strike. Responsibility there is only individual. So, maaari mong file ng kaso. The one who actually committed the act of violence. But that will not in any way convert an otherwise legal strike into an illegal one. Alright. Ayaw kang papasukin. Talagang you are being prevented from entering the premises. You ask the policeman, Sir, pakisabahan mo ninyo ako, paki-escort lang. Kasi kailangan naman ako pumasok. Can the policeman escort you? Well, strictly speaking, yes. Because you are not there in order to replace a striker. You're not a scum. What is being prevented is for somebody who is going to go inside the strike area, the strike premises, in order to replace the striker. But you are not replacing the striker. You are an employee of the company. So strictly speaking, the policeman can accompany you. But in reality, the policeman will not. accompany you. Why? Sasabihin ng policeman, sir, ano ito labor dispute. Kumuha ko kayo ng order sa Secretary of Labor o sa NLRC for me to accompany you. No? Otherwise, we cannot interfere in a purely labor dispute. Yun, sasabihin niya. Kasi they are afraid that they might be charged before the NAPOLCOM. And that will be very inconvenient for them. You see? That's why they will not in any way interfere in the labor dispute. So you are being prevented from entering. And everybody else prevented from entering. What is this? This is a violation of free ingress and egress. And so therefore, that strike can be declared illegal. Now, so also sometimes it's not just that. They place obstacles along the roadway. Lalagyan ng mga batuyan, boulders, even any obstacle to prevent vehicles from going in or out of the strike premises or the company gates. Or they will even weld the company gates together. We will din yan. Hindi na mabuksan, hindi masama. That can happen. Or they lie down on the street to prevent the vehicles from leaving. So, paanda rin ang vehicle. Malapit na, alis din yan. Mahirap na. But, these are obstructions which prevents free ingress and egress. And strictly speaking, this will convert a strike which is legal to one that is illegal. If the obstructions or obstacles are placed on roadways or sidewalks, these are considered as nuisances per se, and they can be removed summarily. But obstacles, shanties, or whatever which are placed inside company premises, like the driveway of the company, they cannot be removed summarily without order from the DOL or the NLRC. See? Now, once there is already a notice of deadlock in collective bargaining, and the union files a notice of strike, that's the first act. You have to file under the compliance of the procedural requirement. You file a notice of strike. Where? NLRC. Rather, NCMB, National Conciliation and Mediation Board. You file. Failure on the part of the union to supply or to furnish the company a copy of the notice of strike will render also the strike illegal, because there is their violation of due process. Now, after the notice of strike is filed, the NCMB is mandated under the law to call the parties within the fastest means possible for a conference. Yeah. The fastest means possible before was telegram. Today, text. Kung alam ang telephone mo, ng cellphone mo, yeah. But any way by which the parties can be reached the fastest way possible. So, usually the following day, nag-file ka, 1 or 2 days thereafter, conference. The parties under the law are not supposed to commit any act anymore which will exacerbate the situation. So, kailangan status quo muna. And then, they will find out, is this a lawful purpose? Supposing the purpose is not lawful, what happens? If the purpose is not lawful, the NCNB will convert that notice of strike into what is known as preventive mediation. Will convert the notice of strike into a preventive mediation. When there is a when the conversion of the notice of strike to preventive mediation is made by the NCMB, the notice of strike is therefore now dropped from the calendar of the office of the NCMB. It is as if now that there is no more notice of strike. So that if preventive mediation already takes place and the union nonetheless goes on strike, that strike now becomes illegal. Why? Because there is no notice of strike. Even if in fact they already filed one. In reality they filed. But because of the conversion of that notice of strike to preventive mediation, that notice of strike is erased. It is as if there is no notice of strike at all. So that if they go on strike, illegal for one of a notice of strike. Alright. Now, if it is merely a deadlock in collective bargaining agreement, economic strike, then the union is supposed to observe a cooling off period of 30 days. However, if the notice of strike is filed because of ULP strike therefore, then the union is supposed to observe a cooling off period of 15 days. Now, during this period of time, 15 or 30 as the case may be, the NCMB continues with the mediation and conciliation process to allow the parties to solve their dispute amicably. Yan. Tingnan. And then, if the period nonetheless already approaches 15 na, 30 days na, there is still no solution inside, the union may now take a strike vote. Now, the union must inform the Department of Labor at least 24 hours prior to the taking of the strike vote. And then, the strike vote will be conducted in a general assembly of the union or in a referendum called for the purpose. And the strike vote must be approved by the majority of all the members of the union, by the total union membership. So, kung Union A ang nag-file ng strike vote, the strike vote will have to be approved by only the members of Union A. Kasi sinabi, total union membership only. So members of Union B, walang pakialam. They cannot participate in the taking of the strike vote, although they are members of the bargaining union. So, iba na? Only the members of the union. Majority is necessary. Total union membership. Only. Alright. That the results of the strike vote will now be filed with the NCMB. Now, it can either be the day following or even 1 or 2 days after, depending upon the wish or the desire of the union. Now, once filed with the NCMB, then you count 7 days. This is known as the 7-day strike ban. From the date of the filing of the strike vote, 7-day strike ban prevents the union from mounting a strike until after the lapse of 7 days. Now, all of these periods I told you are mandatory in character. Mandatory yan. Notice of strike, cooling off period, taking of the strike vote, filing of the strike vote, 7-day strike ban, mandatory. So that failure on the part of the union to observe any of these steps will render the strike illegal. After 30 days, mayroon pang 7-day strike ban. Now supposing you made the mistake in the count and you went on strike after the 6th day. On the 7th day, you went on strike. Decision rendered by the Supreme Court on the matter. Strike becomes illegal for failure to comply with the 7-day strike ban. Isang araw lang yun. So, very strictly, it is followed very, very strictly. Remember that you must wait for the 7 days to lapse. Do not go on strike on the 7th day. You have, on the 7-day strike ban, wait for the 7 days to lapse. So you go on strike on the 8th day. Is that clear? Alright. Now, supposing there is a strike in your company, and you are the lawyer of the company, and the president of the company asks you, attorney, there is a notice of strike filed against us. What can we do? What should we do? And so you answer the president, nothing. You're fired. Now, if your company is an industry indispensable to the national interest, you can file a petition before the Secretary of Labor for the Secretary to assume jurisdiction over the labor dispute or to certify the labor dispute to the NLRC for compulsory arbitration. And so, you will tell the President that, Mr. President, we will file a petition for the Secretary of Labor, etc., etc. And then the President, galing talaga ng abogado. But remember, that is available only if your industry is indispensable to the national interest. What are some of these industries which are indispensable to the national interest already decided by the Supreme Court? Banks, power, like electricity, water, airlines, schools, industries that export and earns dollars for the country. Of course, not just minuscule amount, but in the thousands of dollars. Before, our labor code contained a provision which says that the following industries are indispensable to national interest among others. So, it was not all-inclusive. No? It's not so exclusive. It can still expand. The only problem is, when this was amended, when the labor code was amended by the Herrera-Veloso law, they removed the enumeration, and it just said that a list to this effect may be submitted by the office of the President, may be determined by the office of the President. But up to now, the little girl has not issued any executive order enumerating the industries indispensable to the national interest. Wala. So, anong nakalagay sa labor code? The labor code now provides, the labor code only provides that the Secretary of Labor, if in his opinion, sinabi lang, if in his opinion, there exists an industry, the industry is indispensable to the national interest, then he may assume jurisdiction or certify the labor dispute to the NLRC for compulsory arbitration. So what is important is for you to convince the Secretary of Labor that your industry is indispensable to the national interest. It will just require a marshalling of the facts to show to him that your industry is indispensable to national interest, so that it should be assumed by him and that it should be certified to the NLRC for compulsory arbitration. No. Supposing you are the president of Rufina Patis. You are the lawyer for Rufina Patis. And there is a notice of strike. How will you convince now the Secretary of Labor that your Patis company is indispensable to the national interest. How will you do that? So marshal the facts. Convince him that it is indispensable to the national interest. You will state in your petition that your Patis is exported throughout the world where there are Filipinos. Because Filipinos cannot eat without Patis. And you know for a fact that Filipinos are all over the world. They're everywhere. Like Nike. They're everywhere. Yeah? Think of a country in the world where there is no Filipino. No. Sweden, Denmark, Alaska, Czechoslovakia, America, lalo na. Russia, yes. They're everywhere. So it's exported. Your Patis is exported, and therefore it is earning thousands upon thousands of dollars. The more dollars you have, the stronger your economy. You see? Because the stronger the peso, the stronger the economy. And then you say that in your Patis business, a lot of downstream industries depend upon Rufina Patis. What are these downstream industries? Butter, where you place the Patis, the bran, no? The pantakit. Well, you buy that from Botea. Fish, small fish, salt, shrimps. And so thousands of people is dependent for their livelihood on Rufina Patis. So if your business will collapse, all of these downstream industries will also collapse. And that will mean hunger to hundreds of thousands of people because of the loss of their business. And so the Secretary of Labor will take a look at your petition and say, wow, Patis, indispensable to the national interest. Yes. And this was exactly what happened to Rufina Patis during martial law. Secretary Ople issued a directive assuming jurisdiction over Patis labor dispute because according to him, it is indispensable to the national interest. It's a true case. See? So it will depend really upon the manner by which you marshal your facts. Like education. Noong araw, it was not included in the labor code that a strike in a school is a labor dispute affecting the national interest. But the Supreme Court was convinced that if there's a strike in the school, it will affect the national interest in as much as the fourth-year students usually will be delayed. And they will not be able to graduate regularly. And because of the delay, their parents are going to suffer additional expense, especially for those who are living here in Manila and their parents are in the provinces and are only boarding in school. You see, maraming arguments that was presented. And you know, students are supposed to be the hope of the fatherland, according to Rizal, while he was still alive. I don't know now. But anyway, the Supreme Court said because of these arguments, strike, a labor dispute in a school is a labor dispute affecting the national interest. See? So, pagka mayroong nangyari sa inyo, when you go into practice and there is a strike in the company that you're handling, try to marshal your facts in such a way to convince the secretary, because once the secretary is convinced, it is his opinion, and that opinion cannot even be attacked in the Supreme Court. See? The order is immediately executory. Assumption order or certification order, immediately executory. Even if you go up to the Supreme Court questioning it, it will have to be executed immediately. See? And all you have to do is to convince the secretary. Siya na mag-isa, convince mo. Supposing you are now the lawyer of a sari-sari store and there's a strike there, can you convince him? Ay, sobra na yun. You will not be able to convince him in any way. It's impossible. You have only 1 or 2 employees there. Indispensable to the financial interest. Mahirap at kumbinsin ng sekretaryo. Diba? Like a tire industry. In one case, it was a tire industry that was a tire manufacturing company which was affected. The Supreme Court directed that said that is indispensable. So also the secretary assumed jurisdiction over that case. So domestic airlines, even if it is not an international airline, that is an industry indispensable to the national interest. See? In one case, Honda Philippines, there was a strike in Honda that lasted for about 4 or 5 months. Assumed by the Secretary of Labor, indispensable to national interest. That is why, but there are so many car assemblers in the Philippines, aside from Honda. No? Mayroong Chery, mayroong Kia, Nissan, Ford, Chevy, Chrysler. So even if that's a strike in one, that's not going to affect the national interest. That's why Labor wants this provision repealed, because it depends only upon the opinion of one person. See? Now, anyway, if the Secretary of Labor assumes jurisdiction or certifies the dispute to the NLRC for compulsory arbitration and an order is issued to that effect, that order is immediately executory and includes, even if not written in the order, a return to work order. See? If the employees have not yet gone on strike, hindi pa sila naka-strike, then it enjoins the mounting of a strike. If the strike has already taken place, then the order includes a return to work order. So the strikers must go back to work. Now, so ipapakita ko ngayon, the sheriff of the NLRC or of the Secretary of Labor, Dole, will now bring that order to the strike area and give it. Ito. So papakita na. May return to work order na. So you're the lawyer accompanying the sheriff. Babasahin naman yun. Assumption lang ho ito. Wala naman sinasabi dito na nababalik kami sa trabaho. Basahin mo ulit. Nandyan yan. Wala ho talaga. Maski na wala yan, nandyan yan. Yun ang ibig sabihin that the return to work order is being written in the order. Being written, maski na hindi nakasulat. It is being written in the assumption or certification order. Mayroong return to work order yan. Now, what happens if there is a defiance of the order? If the union will defy the assumption or certification order, all those who defy will lose their employment status, whether they are officers or members of the union. Where only member lang ako hindi man ako official. Nonetheless, because you defy the order, you lose your employment status. You will be being terminated from employment. So, it's dangerous to defy an assumption or certification order. That is more dangerous than when the strike is declared illegal. Because if the strike is declared illegal, only the officers who knowingly participated in the illegal strike lose their employment status. The members will not. lose their employment status unless they committed illegal acts. See? So, for a member in an illegal strike to lose employment status, it is necessary that he must have knowingly committed illegal acts like throwing stones, destroying properties, welding the gate, preventing people from ingress and egress to and from company premises. That will render the strike illegal. And the member himself who committed those acts lose employment status. You see? Now, when you go into actual practice, it is good that you must know how to present your evidence. You must always, kailangan meron kang camera, you must have camera. If you have movie camera, sige. But still camera will suffice. All those who knew about the commission of illegal acts, reduce them into affidavits. These are your evidences that you present in court later. It is not enough, however, to present the picture. You present the picture. Ito, kita naman ninyo yan. Namamaril. That's not enough. You have to present the photographer to identify the picture. And then you have to present the HRD or anybody knowledgeable to identify the person in the picture and what he is doing. You see? It's not enough that you present the picture. You have to present these witnesses to identify the picture, to identify the person, to state what is being done by this person, which is deemed to be illegal. That's the way to present evidence. Otherwise, your picture will not be admitted in evidence, and they will be considered as really one of those irrelevant matters because of failure to identify, lack of identification. See? Well, anyway, that is an aside for your benefit later when you go into actual practice. But going back to certification or sanction order, we are saying that the act of defiance by anybody, whether officer or member, will already result in that member or officer losing their employment status. So, it's different from illegality of strike. It's a defiance. Alright. Now, this is an instance that this particular assumption or certification order occurs only in instances where your industry is indispensable to the national interest. But supposing you are the lawyer of an industry that is not indispensable to the national interest. No. How can you now protect your client? May notice of strike, nagkapit-bisik na sila, nagbabato na, walang makapasok na kliyente, your trucks cannot go out of premises in order to distribute the products to your customer. Anong gagawin mo na yun? But you cannot get an assumption order. Paano yan? Well, basta sabihin mo na lang sa presidente mo, Sir, kahaba naman ang PC natin, hintayin na lang natin silang gutumin. Kahabaan na lang mo ng PC. But if you're going to do that, you're not serving your client properly. GRO ng US. US GRO. This is what you're going to do, is to file a petition for injunctive relief. Well, you file for injunctive relief with the National Labor Relations Commission to prevent the occurrence from continuing, and so that the union will be able to stop whatever unlawful or illegal acts they're doing. Okay? Now, what are the requisites that you must prove in order to obtain injunctive relief? These are the elements. USGRO. Now, so you state in your petition that unlawful acts are being committed and will continue to be committed unless enjoined by the NLRC. And because of these unlawful acts, you are going to sustain irreparable injury of your properties. And that the greater injury will be suffered by the complainant or by your company by the denial of the relief than by the injury that will be suffered by the union by its grant. And there is no other remedy in the ordinary course of law for you. And that officers of the police or of the local governments are not willing or unable to render help to prevent this injury to you. Alright. Now, if you have all of these elements in your petition, you will be granted a TRO. The TRO may be issued ex parte by any commissioner of the NLRC, but that ex parte TRO is good only for 20 days. During which period of time, a hearing will be conducted on your petition until you get a preliminary injunction. And after the case is over, you may get a permanent injunction. So that is the relief that you will be able to get for purposes of protecting the interest of your client. An injunctive relief. If it is not indispensable to the national interest. So you have at least two remedies under your wing. And that is, one, petition for the Secretary of Labor to assume or certify the dispute for compulsory arbitration. So to assume or to certify to the NLRC for compulsory arbitration. If it is indispensable to national interest. If it is not, then you make use of this injunctive relief. No? Okay? So yun ang mga remedyo mo na maaari mong sabihin sa iyong kliyente. So at least, you have something to go by. Okay? Rather than just wait for the union to actually run out of resources. Kung talagang lugi ang union when they go into strike, when they mount a strike, talagang lugi nila because talagang the longer the strike continues, the weaker the union becomes, unless they are affiliated with a very rich national union or federation who will help them out in the meantime. Now, the next question that may be asked in connection with strike is, can these union members who went on strike, are they entitled to strike duration pay? No? Strike duration pay. Nag-strike, ayaw magtrabaho. Gusto, pero gusto mo. Bayaran. Saya. Now, of course, if the company is guilty of ULP, now, during the period of time that the strike went on, it is possible that the union members may enjoy a strike duration pay because here, ang may kasalanan, the company. Especially because they interfere, intervene, or restrain the rights of the employees to form organization for purposes of collective bargaining. That's ULP. All right. Now, but if the company is not guilty at all, say it is only a deadlock in collective bargaining, strike duration pay is out of the question. Wala, hindi sila babayan. No work, no pay. Ganun yun. Unless, in the course of the strike, the union offered to return to work unconditionally, and such offer to return to work was rejected by the employer, at which time, from the time of the return, unconditional offer to return to work, from that date on, because of the refusal of the company, then the employees will be entitled to strike duration pay. See? For example, deadlock in collective bargaining. There is a deadlock in collective bargaining. And the strike continued for about a month. Siyempre, alam mo, after 1 month, yung strike fund ng union, ubos na. Because he will have to take care of all the strikers. Yung pagkain nila, pagkain ng kanilang pamilya. Diba? It's not, a strike is not a picnic. Yeah? Talagang mahirap yan. And all of a sudden, nag-meeting union pa rin. Mahaba masyado ang PC ng kumpanya natin. Wala na tayong resources. Magugutom na kita rito. Let's offer na lang to go back to work. Huwag na tayo mag-strike. And then submit our case to the labor courts already for decision. Ano na lang tayo? Trabaho na lang tayo ulit. Unconditional, kailangan. Unconditional offer to return to work. So today, nagano na sila. May 3, sinabi na nila sa company, we hereby offer to return unconditionally to work. Babalik. We will lift our strike and return to work unconditionally. Tapos sabi ng company ngayon, ayan, give up na sila, mga hayop na. No! Ayan. Magdusa kayo. Ganon. So what happens is, from today, May 3, the employees who offered to return to work will now be entitled to strike duration pay until they actually return to work. Di ba lang? Kung hindi sila pinabalik for 3 months, so, pagbalik nila on the 4th month, yung 3 months na nakalipas, kailangan bayaran sila ng strike duration pay sa kanilang sahod. You see? But remember, unconditional, because if the union says, we offer to return to work, provided the following are met. Number 1, may condition sila. They will not be entitled to strike duration pay. Is that clear? Alright. Now, any questions? Wala. So far, the strikes, even those that I have already discussed last time, wala kayong tanong. Kasi wala akong nakikitang dumadating dito ng pieces of paper. That means you're all brilliant. Walang tanong eh. Pagka mayroon kayong konting medyo duda-duda, well, try to write it down and let me answer it, because this is your opportunity to ask questions, even consulta for free. Now, so much for the strike, Oh.
not go inside.
There are two schools of thought with respect to that. Whether the taking of the strike vote can be contemporaneous with the cooling off period. Sabay. Now, as far as my opinion on the matter is concerned, because of a case decided by the Supreme Court, it can run contemporaneously. You can take the strike vote even before the expiration of the 30-day cooling off period or before the expiration of the 15-day period. But there is also another school of thought that you must wait for the 30-day period to expire first before taking the strike vote, or wait for the 15-day cooling off period to expire before taking the strike vote. Now, if this is asked of the bar in the bar exams, then perhaps you can state that there are two schools of thought in this regard. Yeah? But which is the better school of thought? To my mind, the matter should be decided which is most favorable to the union, to the workers. Which is more favorable to the workers? If the cooling off period can run contemporaneously with the taking of the strike vote, because that is going to lessen the number of days for the strike period, for the requirements of the validity of the strike period. Whereas if you prolong it, then that is the longer the matter, the longer the dispute remains, the longer the matter continues, the more expensive for the union. Remember that they are the most, among the two contending parties, they are the most socially, economically disadvantaged. So, to me, it should be allowed, whichever is more advantageous to the union. But that is my view, because I'm taking the side of the union in this regard, although I'm a management lawyer. But, at times you have to give it to them. What will it affect? What adverse effect will it have upon management anyway, if you shorten the period? To me, it is a matter that can be given to the union. Okay? Any more questions? Don't be afraid to ask questions. I assure you I can answer them. I've been teaching this since 1974. How many were not yet born at the time? 74, siguro. You were born already 74. And at that time, you know who our professor were? We were already lawyers, but we were studying. Why? Because during our time, it was the Industrial Peace Act that governed labor relations and labor standards. Industrial Peace Act. Yan ang pinag-aralan namin. Tapos biglang dumating itong si Macoy. Labor Code. Presidential decree. Bago. No? Wala na yung Court of Industrial Relations. Naging na yung National Labor Relations Commission na. Ang dami-daming binago niya. Sinag-aral kami. Ang nag-lecture sa amin si Amado Gat-Insyong, who was not a lawyer. Imagine, he was the one who formulated the implementing rules of the labor code. He was not a lawyer. So nag-lecture siya, kami mga abogado, and he was telling us, you lawyers, you listen to me. Nakikinig doon. Nagmumukha kami tanga. Talaga. Imagine a non-lawyer lecturing to all of the lawyers about labor law. I don't know where he is now. Amado Gat-Insyong. I suppose he's still alive. But I don't see him around. I don't hear of him anymore. But he was the Deputy Minister of Labor, second only to Secretary Minister Ople. Secretary Ople became Secretary also after martial law during the time of Korean War. He's a very brilliant man. He's not a lawyer. He's a dropout. He finished only high school. Yeah. Secretary of the... Yung kanyang college degree, honoris causa. Ang dami niyang honoris causa from all universities, including the University of the Philippines. Perhaps even UST also. Pero, wide reader, brilliant writer. Pagka pumasok ka sa kotse niya, punong-puno ng libro. Who says that a high school dropout and that a college dropout who did not even take a high school graduate can rise to that level of prominence? Secretary of State. So there is now even a building named after it. POEA, di ba? Building, that's Ortigas, EDSA. The Secretary Blas S. Oakley Building. Brilliant man. He graduated high school, Far Eastern University. Never took up college. Swerte nga kayo. College na kayo. Tapos na kayo ng college, you know. But there are a lot of people who are so brilliant. That's why they don't go to college, because they get bored in college. NBM Gonzalez. You know NBM? National artist in literature. Writer. Novelist. Talagang today he has now and then a column in the Inquirer. Lumalabas siya. May kanyang column. Did not finish college. Also. Jose Garcia Villa. The so-called centipede boy. You don't know him? Lahat ng poetry niya. Bee, kama. Animal, kama. Lahat. Kada word, may kama. That's why centipede boy siya. Did not finish college also. National artist of the Philippines. You don't have to finish school. So that's for that. Another question. Come on. Baka tanong sa bar, saya. Ikaw, you will recite the poem naman.
Sir, pwede na po ba sa yung 3 years sa economic provisions, pwede na po bang i-extend yun beyond 5 years?
Sa CBA, collective bargaining agreement. You know, ordinary lifespan of a CBA, 3 years. Economic provision, 5 years representation question. But there is nothing that can prevent agreement of the parties between the union and the company 5 years pareho. 5 years economic provision, 5 years representation question. You see? Pwede. But that is not advisable. Why not advisable? Because the inflation as well as the cost of living increases, so that if you are going to determine your economic provision for 5 years, well ahead of time, it is possible that what you have already pegged within this period of 4 years and 5 years is already outmoded. That's why it's not advisable. That's why many say that you should only agree with respect to the 3 years of the economic provisions. But you know that agreement of the parties is the law between the parties, provided it is not contrary to law, public order, public policy. The law that is not our law on the economic provision and the representation question, although it begs only 3 to 5, is not a hard and fast rule. It is not a hard and fast rule that cannot be the subject of agreement of of the parties. To me, as far as my opinion on the matter is concerned, that can still be the subject of agreement. Now, case in point, that I negotiated 5 years, MCU, Manila Central University. We agreed 5 years, 5 years. But in the middle of our agreement, because they realized they made the mistake, agreeing 5 years, we amended it. Kasi kawawa naman yung employee. We agreed on sa first year, mataas, 800. But it went down, pababa. 800, 700, 600, 500, 400 on the fifth year. After 3 years, nakikita nila na 500, 400 na lang dito. Ang tatanggapin. So they appeal to management. Kung pwede, we renegotiate the across-the-board salary increases. Okay. We allowed it. You see? So it does not work for the benefit of the employees. If it were the other way around, perhaps, kung nag-umpisa ng 400, 500, 600, 700, pataas, 800, then that will be beneficial for them. But, you know, rarely will the employer, agree to that kind of an arrangement. Yes. Ano?
Sir, yung given po na 3 years po yung i-accept na economic provisions po, tapos nag-renegotiate po, anong years po yung i-cover nung renegotiated contract? Yung 5 years lang po or?
Usually, when there is a 3 years only, no, you renegotiate only the 2 years economic provision. 3 years, 2 years. That is pursuant to a department order issued by Secretary Contesor. Although that was not the real intention of Secretary of Senator Herrera, because it was Senator Herrera who actually devised of this 3-year, 5-year arrangement of the CBA, life term of the CBA. Siya may utak niya. Why? Because at that time, there was a lot of union raiding. And because of union raiding, the ALU, where he was also up to now, Secretary General, were losing a lot of local chapters to the KMU. Natatalo sila, nagre-raid. So, ginalagay nila 5 years representation question. So therefore, at least within this period of 5 years representation question, the ALU local chapter can be assured of the fact that they are the collective bargaining agent for 5 years. Now, but the 3-year economic provision, the idea of Senator Herrera there was every time there is a expiration, the 3-year economic provision, it is going to be negotiated for another 3 years. So it overlaps. Yung 3-year and 5-year overlap each other. And they will meet only on the 15th year. So the idea is that the bargaining agent will remain bargaining agent of the bargaining unit for at least 15 years. That was the idea of Senator Herrera. But then, itong si Confessor, nag-issue ng order. So, lumalabas, the bargaining agent is guaranteed only a period of at least 5 years instead of 15. Kaya, 3 years and then 2 years. So, natatapos na kaagad ang representation question and the collective bargaining agreement after the 5th year. So, pwede na ngayon pumasok ang iba. Why? Dahil freedom period within the 5th year of the collective bargaining agreement, freedom period. So, they can challenge already. Whereas kung nag-overlap sila, 3 years, 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, yung freedom period, lalabas lang on the 15th year. Nag-guarantee sila ng 15-year lifetime. Even if you are going to read the deliberation of the Senate of the Philippines in that regard, that was the idea of Senator Herrera. Pero hindi na sunod because of the department order of Secretary Cortizon. Remember Secretary Cortizon? Yung nakapinuwain na naging secretary. You know, remember him? During the time of, sino ba yung pinatay sa Singapore ba nung araw na lumabas si Honor doon? Contemplation. During the time of contemplation. Yan ang secretary natin ng araw. You see? Today, even if the CBA expires, it does not mean that the CBA is functus officio already. No. The provisions of the CBA, with the exception only of the across-the-board salary increases, will continue to be operative until a new CBA shall have been concluded by the parties. And this is now known as what? The what? Automatic renewal clause of the CBA. Automatic renewal clause of the collective bargaining agreement. So, tuloy-tuloy, all other benefits like halimbawa sick leave, vacation leave, mortuary benefits, birthday leave, tuberculosis leave, lahat. Akala nyo, nagluluko ako, that's part of the CBA, yung tuberculosis leave. Maraming company na may tuberculosis leave. Yung birthday leave. Bakit sila gusto may birthday leave? Kasi, sir, pag birthday leave mo, kasi pag birthday, papasok kami sa trabaho, ang laki ng gastos. May blowout dito, blowout doon, so birthday leave. So may birthday leave sila. Tapos humihingi pa ng birthday gift. Ayun na yan. Mayroon pa birthday gift. Binibigyan namin ng birthday gift na birthday, yung tawag ito. Certificate ng sa McDo o di kaya sa Jollibee. Mayroon sila certificate. Ngayon, dinodoble. Sir, maliit na lang ho ngayon yan. Mahal na ho ngayon ang mga bili. Doblehin yung birthday gift. O, bigyan na lang kayo ng isang kabang bigat. Mas gusto nila yun. Isang kabang bigat. Because that's going to be beneficial for the entire family. See? When you go into negotiation with the union later, when you go into actual practice, you will realize na sa dami ng leave ng hinihingi, dadating ang araw, 365 days leave yan. Wala. Sa dami, emergency leave, kasama siya, bereavement leave, lahat yun. Kadami. Ang kanilang, ngayon, sa adoption, for example, vacation leave is already 33 days. Kaya naman. 33 days. Vacation leave. The faculty even have sabbatical leave. 2 years. Sabbatical leave. Because they will be studying yung masteral degree, doctoral degree. Mayroong yan. Mayroong beneficyo na binibigay sa sabbatical leave. Well, so much for the strikes. Now we go into lockouts. Now, everything that I have told you about the strikes apply to lockouts. They apply to lockouts. The only difference is perhaps in the lockout vote. Because in the lockout vote, this has got to be decided by the majority of the board of directors. Hindi stockholders. Board of directors lang. Kung 5 yan, 3 lang ang mag-decide. Majority of the members of the board. If it is a partnership, then by the majority partner. But of course, if it is a single proprietorship, only by 1 man. So, yun. So, depends, yun ang strike out. And then you also have to file the lockout vote. And then you also have the 7-day lockout ban. Ganun din. Alright. So, we are through with our consideration for tonight. Exactly 6 o'clock. Now, I will be meeting with you when? 3 weeks na, ha? Because I'm supposed to lecture to you for 3 days, but, you know, isa na wala because of the oath-taking of the new lawyers. We had to be there. Because if I will be absent there, my students will get mad at me. They will lynch me for being absent. Now, so we have only 8 hours with me, but I assure you, during the pre-week, you will have all the new decisions of the Supreme Court, especially those decided by Justice Moran. Alright? So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Alright, thank you, Heavenly Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. We are very full of praise the Lord. This restaurant among women, blessed is the Lord Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at our death.
Glory be to the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit.
God, Jesus, God, of the Son.
Name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. See you again.
Bye, sir. Ano yung mga term mo, Jimmy? Pumasok ako kung hindi na sa bahay. Maghapon. Nasaan si Karen dyan, Van?
Sirad ko, buti ko sirad na rin.
Bye-bye, sis.
Ay, masama na itong kulito eh. Ikaw napansin niya ako yung dyan. Mamayang gabi pa ako siguro.
Saan ka napunta? Tara na, labas na tayo. Ay, tanong mo ah. Babay na. Gusto ka malapit lang. Meg, thank you ah. Yung pakita, baka may magsano. Ano yun?
Okay, kailangan mo nila na mga...
Alam ko kaya, alam mo naman yung mga kaibigan. Kaya naman para di ka.
Gusto na ano? Ay, mga... Di ba, ganun na kita na USB?
Oo, USB. Sige na lang kung ng bangin. Hindi pa na kasi siya kami ni Mama. Ano ba? Ba't hindi mo ba yung iba yan? Lang ka. Laga lang siya. Laga na! Kala ko bata si G.A. Michelle. Kung babae, share kayo, ano ko ang pag-share mo? Kalay ko ba? Share? Saan ka pupunta? Ay, sure!
Araw-araw kong gano'n.
Wow, favorite mo na si Disney. Ikaw talaga, tapos pa sa atin. Kaya ano ka ba? Ako kaya unang nag-absent. Bago kayo nag-absent. Baka ba sabay tayo nag-absent? Hindi nung Thursday. Na-absent din ako nun. Absent ka din? Nung na-late ka ng gising? Absent ako nun. Bye-bye. Bye! Pagka-traumatize ka na ba? First week. Oo, correct. Oo, nakalimutan ko umuwi. Hindi na ako. Hindi ka na ba aabot? Mamaya na lang sa Sabolo. Kasi naman aakyat pa ako ng hagdan eh. Kasi meron. Parang sila yan. Parang nakikita lang namin sila pag may bonggang major occasion, hindi ko may birthday, ganyan. Kapag sure nila nandito sa bahay, pero hindi namin sila nakikita na doon. Kaya talaga, nandun yung pamakinan nyo, wala kanila. Ako, kaya, oo. Kasi siya lang ang sinupansin ko. Mas natutuwa na ako pag banahe, pag nakita na niya. Hindi, may mga pamangkin kasi naman nandun. May mga saan pa, may dita. Ako lang yun. Ah, talaga? Yung lalaki na. Yung kapatid niya. Yung pamagsasalita na naayos niya. Tapos kailangan pa niya yung hiniram. Bulol-bulol pa. Ano yung nakakatuwa? Yung mga pamangkin. Bakit nagsabitan yung anak ng kapatid niya? Parang mga edad nila naman 3-4 ganun po. Nakakatuwa. Dapat sila yung pamangkin ko. Minsan yung lagi na. Titignan muna niya ako. Di ko alam. Kasi nga, nabigyan tatawa na wala kasi mga gumaling ko. Malaki na kasi, no? Parang na-small yung childhood mo. Parang hindi ko na experience. Tayo. Bakit nga si Jay? bonggang overhaul lahat. Hindi na yung gusto ko. Kasi gusto ko magawa, diba? Buti nga, discover ko. Tignan ko din sa libro ko, baka nakasulat. Ang dami na dito hindi na ako. Lahat eh. Pagkatapos ng ano pa yung Sweetheart Fury, yung Barbie yung ayun nga pala yung Sadie. Oo. Yung mga radang. Word away. Pero yung text ko nga si Ma'am Jack, sabi ko, baka walang umatin yun. Oo. Kasi baka walang review. Ay, oo nga pala. Walang pakialam. Walang pakialam talaga. Ano, Friday na lang. Oo, Friday na lang. Hindi ako din, hindi ako papasok. Bisinig, saka saan. Hindi nga rin papasok. Hindi na rin papasok. Parang na. Oo. Dahil na feeling ko, hindi ako libo. Kasi ano yan ako, kasi aban na lang buong libo. Hindi yung tapos yun, tapos nga, di ba? Saka maintindihan mo, saka makikinig ka talaga yung hindi siya magaling. Ako hindi na ako nakikinig ko. Yung mga importante lang din yung pinatouch mo. Oo, yung importante. Ano ka ba nung, di ba, nung unang araw, wala daw siya na yung syllabus niya. Oh. The next day, di ba, nagturo siya? Ang sakit ng ulo ko nung pagka-third day niya, hindi na ako sumasok. Naantok ako sa kanya. At saka parang ang bagal ng ano niya. Tapos ang bagal na niya, hindi pa niya inuulit pag di mo nakuha. Oo, hindi. Tapos, iwahiwalit ang discussion niya yung under two, tapos bigla siya mag-dagita. Ang hindi mo na mag-get. Sana gumawa ng libre. Ang dami na nakikita mo kakas natin yung maaaring bago ko. Yan. Eh, hindi ka na natin sa klase. Pero kabasa natin. Yan. Carlo, bago nito. Nakakala ng klase ni Carlo. Hindi ko alam. Ikaw rin ito dito. Ito ko. Ano ka ba mo? Ano? Si Ana, naka Montero. Si Ana, sir? Oo. Yun yung grad gift sa kanya. Yung sinasabi ni Steph na yung ba nung bless ng kotse mo, yung nung sa baccalaureate, sabi yun. Kamukha dapat ang sabi. Sige, uli ano mo? Sabihin mo lang. Sabi ni Ana, baka daw mag-text kay Ma'am Jack kasi baka walang pumasok daw kasi Sir Alcantara yung hapon namin. Karan yan. Pati nga kay YouTube. Oo, baka kay Friday, pwede kayo, paano mag-text? Hintay na lang namin yung text ko naman. Kasi kami nasa RA lang kami. Pero kahit yun sa mga iba yung gabi talaga dito. Sabi niya, sabi niya. Thank you. Thank you, Al. Last year pa yun. At saka, sisimang natin dito. Parang bonggang-bongga. Lagang tao, di ba? Yung first year.